Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Vedant and welcome to Markets Daily, a daily stock market insights and analysis podcast by Bajaj Broking. Our mission is always to bring our listeners, that's you, the daily financial news and advice that you will need before the markets open so that you can make the best decisions when it comes to improving your finances. Along with this program, if you require any more information, please do visit www.bajajbroking.in. With that said, let's get into today's episode. Starting with the top 5 news headlines for the day. At number 1, we have Godrej Properties plans to launch residential projects worth approximately 30,000 crores this fiscal year across major cities to achieve 20% growth in sales booking amid strong demand. Staying within the real estate space, Shriram Properties has acquired a parcel of land which accounts for approximately 4 acres near Electronic City in Bengaluru. The saleable area is 4 lakh square feet with the revenue potential of 250 crore rupees. Moving on, First Source is planning to acquire Quintessence Business Solutions and Services for approximately 328 crore rupees. Raymond has also approved the consolidation of engineering business under one single entity. And lastly, Trident has commissioned the additional capacity of 5.5 megawatts for a rooftop solar power project at Budni in Madhya Pradesh. Those are the top 5 news headlines for the day. For any headlines that we might have missed, please be sure to check out the description box of this episode. And before we move into the global market insights, let's quickly go over the FII and DII sales data. The FII's net sales stands at 2,391.98 crore rupees, while the DII's net buy stands at 690.52 crore rupees in equities last Friday. Now, moving on to the global market insights. A gauge of global stocks rallied while treasury yields fell on Friday after a US payrolls report was softer than anticipated, easing some concerns that the Federal Reserve would keep interest rates higher for longer. Non-farm payrolls rose by 175,000 last month, the lowest since October 2023, and short of the 243,000 estimates of economists polled by Reuters. But in terms of the numbers during Friday's session, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 450.02 points or 1.18% to close at 38,675.68 points. The S&P 500 gained 63.59 points or 1.26% to close at 5,127.79 points. And lastly, the Nasdaq Composite gained 315.37 points or 1.99% to close at 16,156.33 points. The first quarter earnings season is set to continue this week. Uber Technologies Incorporated and Walt Disney Company are among the major large-cap companies where quarterly results are due this week, while a string of key Federal Reserve officials are also due to speak, with the latter offering more cues on interest rates. And moving from the west to the east, Asia-Pacific markets tracked Wall Street gains on Monday as a softer-than-expected US jobs report fueled hopes that the Federal Reserve could start cutting rates soon. Investors, meanwhile, awaited the Reserve Bank of Australia's rate decision on Tuesday and China's April trade data on Thursday. Japan and South Korea's markets are closed, of course, for a public holiday. An Australian benchmark index is seen higher by 0.5% in today's morning trade. And with that, we have exhausted all the insight about what's happening in the markets outside India. So let's move inwards to talk about the Indian markets and indices. The GIFT Nifty suggests a gap up opening amid firm global cues, and we expect the Nifty spot to trade with high volatility in the broad range of 22,470 to 22,700 levels. In the Nifty short-term outlook, the index on Friday's session opened on a positive note and formed a fresh all-time high of 22,794 levels in the first hour trade. However, sharp selling pressure at higher levels saw the index give up all its gains and close deep in the red at 22,475 levels, down by 0.76%. On a weekly basis, the index managed to close on a positive note though, higher by 0.25%. The Nifty on the daily chart has formed a bearish engulfing candle, signaling profit booking at higher levels. The index in the coming session needs to sustain above Friday's low of 22,348 levels to keep pullback options open. And going ahead in the coming week, we expect the Nifty to extend the last week's consolidation in the range of 22,800 to 22,200 levels. Technically, this will be a higher base formation after a 1,000 points rally in just 8 sessions. Lastly, we believe the current breather should be used as a buying opportunity in quality stocks in a staggered manner. And the short-term support for the index is placed at 22,200 to 22,000 levels, being the confluence of the lower band of the rising channel, the 50 days EMA, and the key retracement level. Moving on to the intraday levels, for the Nifty, intraday resistance is situated at 22,640 levels, followed by 22,700 levels. Conversely, downside support is located at 22,470 levels, followed by 22,400 levels. For the Bank Nifty, intraday resistance is positioned at 49,300 levels, followed by 49,480 levels, while downside support is found at 48,920 levels, followed by 48,730 levels. And for the Fin Nifty, intraday resistance is positioned at 21,940 levels, followed by 22,000 levels, while downside support is found at 21,790 levels, followed by 21,710 levels. Moving on to the derivative data analysis, for the Nifty, in the option chain analysis, the weekly option chain for 9th May indicates a trading range of 22,000 to 22,800 levels for the Nifty. The highest put open interest is at 22,000 levels, while the highest call open interest has shifted to 22,800 levels. In terms of call and put activity, we can see aggressive call writing was observed on Friday between 22,500 to 23,000 levels. Put writers have shifted their position from 22,600 and 22,700 levels to strikes below the 22,500 level. Notably, significant open interest stands at 22,500 levels. In terms of support at that level, Friday's 1% downturn in the Nifty accompanied a 4% decrease in its future COI, indicating long unwinding. The overall put-call ratio open interest has also reduced by 30% to close at 0.89. These suggest potential support at the 22,500 level. And lastly, breaching Friday's low and observing a decrease in put open interest at 22,500 levels would negate the bullish view. Moving on to the Bank Nifty, for the option chain analysis, the Bank Nifty option chain suggests a range of 47,000 to 49,500 levels for the coming expiry. Surprisingly, significant put open interest still exists at 49,500 levels, despite being an in-the-money strike. This indicates unusual confidence among put writers, signaling a bullish sentiment. Key levels: the 49,000 strike has significant call and put open interest, making it crucial for today's session, and sustaining below 49,000 levels could target 48,500 levels, while staying above it may trigger a short covering rally. The put open interest at 49,000 and 49,500 levels for today's session may provide a clear indication of the direction of the Bank Nifty. And with that, we have exhausted all the news and insights about the equities market. So let's move into our final section of this episode, the other asset classes. Treasury yields fell along with the dollar after the payrolls report as investors increased expectations for a rate cut this year from the Fed in September, with markets pricing in a 66.8% chance for a cut of at least 25 basis points, up from 61.6% in the prior session. This is all, of course, according to CME's Fed Watch tool. The yield on benchmark US 10-year notes dropped 6.1 basis points to 4.51%, while the dollar index fell by 0.3% and closed at 104.95 basis points. In commodities, oil prices fell and were on course for their steepest weekly loss in 3 months following the jobs report. US crude settled down 1.06% to $78.11 a barrel, and Brent settled at $82.96 per barrel, down 0.85% on the day. And lastly, Gold prices continue to trade flat and are currently placed at $2,312 an ounce in valuation. And with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. We need to start getting ready for the markets opening shortly, as I'm sure you do too. As always, I hope you all have gotten something meaningful out of today's program. And as mentioned before, for more information, please visit www.bajajbroking.in. This podcast was made possible by the good people at Bajaj Broking, and we can't wait to bring more financial news and analysis to you when we return tomorrow morning. Cheers, everyone.
Investments in the securities market are subject to market risk. Read all related documents carefully before investing.